Hello traders and welcome to the weekly Token Setups volume 103. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super happy to have you on my channel. And as you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming one. So this week we had pretty nice moves. I wasn't really focused on the market this week. I'm finishing my university year, having lots of deadlines and doing all that stuff just to get it out on my shoulders. So I only took one little trade and actually cut it before it hit stop loss. So basically I'm finishing with a very slight loss. Of course, I missed a lot of moves. We had the weekly highs on Wednesday, I believe. But before that, we had a massive pump on EU, GU and the other pairs. Then we had a massive dump after that. So definitely a lot of moves to be capitalized on. So I'm gonna try to explain to you all that happens to potentially provide you with some insights and then potentially see what could happen for the upcoming week, right? If you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I give my best to share an educational piece of content or a trade setups breakdown video. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell in order not to miss those videos. And before we start, I want to mention that I've been messing with some cryptos, and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker with low spreads and low commissions, but if you choose the eco account where you pay a little commission for each lot traded, they plant 10 trees. So I really think that is an amazing initiative, so make sure to support them. Go check them out, the link will be down in the description. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for this week. Alright, as always, let's initiate the analysis by having a look at the DXY to potentially try to forecast what the dollar could do, because that is mainly gonna influence all the other currency pairs as well. So as you can see, we had 3 weeks of overall choppiness right there, of overall consolidation, and this one we're actually having a bullish candle right there. So for me, if you just zoom out a little bit and you just follow like the more of a higher time frame monthly price action, like we had a low, a lower high, a lower low right there, and since there we actually reversed and broke that lower high. Okay, so since then the market has been pushing, and then all of a sudden we started dropping down. And as you can see, like how long the market it took to come up there and how fast it already came back down again. Okay, but currently we're actually tapping inside this range on the left. So definitely, as you can see, we already reacted from it, but we actually tapped inside this one to create a lower high, and potentially right now I would actually expect a lower low. All right, but we can see that there is a lot of support forming, so it's really key right now for the DXY to actually see a close below this weekly low. All right, so we just build up some narrative from the weekly time frame, and even dropping on the daily, you can see that this low still hasn't broken. If I really zoom in, like this is yeah, I wouldn't say it's a body close below. You can see how nicely it wicks and how nicely it creates that supportive level. And if you remember, I also called this supply right there from the previous week. We nicely tapped inside, we nicely reacted, but still the market failed to make a lower low. And right now on Friday we're having a massive bullish engulfing candle. So all of those things actually speak one thing to me: bullish dollar for now, right? Then dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, well, we can see, well, where did the market open on the 7th? Yeah, around right there. Basically, I was also looking at this overall support or demand. Like we tapped inside, we reacted from it, but then we went deeper with this fake to actually tap in deeply inside this level right there, this bearish candle, the sell before the big buy. So basically we tapped inside, we nicely reacted. We also broke structure. If you look carefully, we broke this week high right there, we broke it, we retested to create a higher low, and then we very nicely exploded to the upside. Okay, so putting all of that story together, I would expect bullishness on the DXY for next week. And as you can see, we already reacted from this level. Like, don't get me wrong, this level is still pretty relevant, okay? But I definitely think that this high, which is it the weekly high? I think it is. Yeah, basically we exactly closed at the almost around the weekly high, which creates a very nice kind of liquidity level. So what could happen on the DXY? Let's try to forecast. Well, the thing that I would love to have is a pullback on the 4-hourly higher low formation and then a pump into the highs. Okay, but what could also happen is the market can just give us a slight pullback and then just straight start to break above. And then for me, it will be really important to see how the market is going to react from this supply right there, because if it actually starts reacting very massively, then we might even eventually go for a lower low. Right, so the DXY, as you can see, it's still a little bit 50-50, because if you just have a look at it, we're in the range at the bottom, right there. So I'm not sure if there are any whack-off guys, but maybe you can also read like the schematics as well. But what I also see only is that we are changing the structure, and this is what's important to me. So basically, yes, those are the few scenarios that I'm going to be looking for the DXY. Either a nice pullback to create a higher low, then definitely go long. Or if the market first starts by push inside this supply, then I'm gonna wait for what the reaction will be, and then maybe eventually taking it higher if we fail to break any newly created higher lows. All right. So I hope that makes sense. Make sure to stay tuned for the Tuesday analysis, where I'm going to give you a little update on how Monday developed. But definitely I would love to see higher prices on the DXY. And also, of course, like we had a massive bump to the downside right there on the weekly time frame. So definitely having a little bit of a correction, maybe even if you drop your FIP like this, like let's tap at least 38.250, not to say around those levels as well. So let's see, bullish dollar for the beginning of the week. Let's see if that's going to happen. Let's have a look at euro dollar, which has a pretty much 90% negative correlation to the DXY. So what we have right there is a nice weekly high. Then we pull back into the range on the left. We fail to break lower, meaning that we're perfectly in the bullish market. Then we start to initiate higher. But as you can see, for 3 weeks, even 4 weeks right now, we have been failing to break above. And definitely long term, I would love to see a break of 23,500 and then even eventually of 25,500, which is up there. Okay. So definitely those are my longer term targets, even considering it from the monthly, because we have a consolidation, a push up, a pullback. Definitely from here, I would be looking for higher prices, but we have a problem right now. Again, as I told you, 3 weeks of the market failing to break above. And of course, what does that mean is that we are just lacking liquidity and orders to push up. So what you can do is you can just drop your FIP, because this high is already created from the low. And what I would expect right now is the market to pull back. Okay, where to? Well, let's say at least 50%. So definitely I would love to see the market come like in and around those areas. And from there, we can start looking for the big longs. Okay, so let's remove the FIP right now. Let's not get too fixated on the FIP, because usually structure is the most important. Okay, so remember first of all that I called this level. So it got tapped, but just by a little. The next stop is right there, which is still like above the 50%. So definitely, as you can see, this zone, I would love to see EU come and react from some of those places right there. But this is going to take a lot of time. So let's focus on what is happening right now. As you can see on the daily time frame, we started to step down. This is a high, low. This is a lower high. This is a lower low. Lower high was created on Wednesday, and then we just dumped. All right. So really nice to see. What I would expect right now is to have a reaction from 50% of this zone, because yeah, we just tapped it, right? Not even the like it will react from this wick, but there is definitely this little range right there, like the middle of this range, that we can definitely have a reaction from. So for me, it is really important right now to see how the market is going to react from this range, because if we break and close below this low on the 4 hourly, even on the hourly, then I can consider this market definitely bearish. And then I will be looking to go even below this level and start looking for longs around those ones from the daily FIPS that I showed you. Okay, so basically on EU this week, a couple of very nice opportunities. The first one was from here. After we had this nice push to the upside, I also called the longs right there into the highs right there, into this level. This was the weekly high. Then after the weekly high, we broke to the downside. So basically taking shorts from right there was beautiful. And we had also beautiful shorts to be taken right there on Friday for a massive bump to the downside. So let's zoom in. Let me actually show you again what kind of trade I took this week. My only trade, let's see. So basically, yes, I did not take this one. It was really choppy right there. Then there was actually a long trade right there. I don't remember anymore. Like, as I told you at the beginning, I was not focused at all at the markets this week. Basically, yes, we had this very nice sell. I had a level. So let me actually remove this price to here. There was a beautiful level right there that I really wanted to take. It was like, let me start dropping to the lower time frames. Yeah, basically what I had right here is the market like creating a lower low. Then we had the high, the market consolidated, faked below, took the liquidity, and then we massively initiated outside. Okay, this was a long that I really wanted to take, but I missed. What was the time? Yeah, 340. I don't trade at that time. So as the market was starting to initiate higher, I was looking for the longs. But then for me, this one became liquidity. And then what I was looking at is to take a trade from this, from this sell to a big buy. All right, so basically I was looking for a tap inside this little range right there, and if I just drop a little line like this is what I also call to my team. So I'm pretty happy that all of my team actually executed on that trade. So there it is. The trade was taken from here. Stop loss, it depends on how tight you want. 3.5 pips is enough, and basically then riding it into the highs. I think it was above the Asian highs that we targeted for a nice around 1 to 8. All right, so that trade was a missed one for me. I think this was on Tuesday. I wasn't on the charts, I wasn't focused, so I did not execute on that trade. And then going on to the next day, what my mistake was, again, if I just quickly trigger the Asian range so that you can see. My mistake was that I failed to recognize that this was a nice fake above Asia, so I really rushed to actually catch the long, okay? But if you start dropping to the 5 minutes, you can see that, where is my Asian range again? Okay, disappeared. Well, let me cancel it then. This is the Asian high that, and the 5 minute actually closed above it, okay? But what I failed to recognize is I tried to enter a little bit too early, okay? So basically for me, there is my consolidation, there is my push outside of it. So basically for me, this was the hard low. And I entered exactly right there. I'm gonna share my MT4 stats as well. My stop loss was, I think, a little bit more, around 2.5 pips, something like this, because I also took this into consideration, this little level right there. So I just placed my stop loss below it, something like this. But as soon as I had this close right there, I cut my trade right there. You're also gonna see where I closed my trade. Then we had a little reaction, then we pumped into the lows, actually to come into the extremes of this level. And then since then, as you can see, we had quite a lot of longing opportunities. Even later, as you can see, after the market pushed outside, a long opportunity here, another long opportunity there, and then just taking longs everywhere. There was another one right here as well, the beautiful long from here. Like you can see how the market initiates outside, then builds all of that madness right there, and then just to tap inside this unmitigated range right there to potentially start bumping into the highs. But for me, all of those trades were missed. So I'm not pissed, because basically I wasn't focused on the market. But yeah, it is what it is. And then on Friday, also a massive trade. So basically what we also had is a manipulation above the Asian range with two beautiful wicks. And if you start dropping all the way to the 1 minute, what you're gonna see is there is your change of structure. So your first entry goes from here, right? There is your another push, another pullback, your second entries from here, then there is another break of structure and a pullback, then there's your third entry from there, right? So you definitely could have milked the market on Friday for a massive, like one of the trades was even 1 to 50 if you held from here. But yeah, well, simply guys, this is EU summed up for the week. Again, very, very, very nice trading opportunities, but let's focus right now and see what could potentially happen, okay? So definitely I am more on the sell side, especially, oops, what did I do? Especially after the market actually broke the structure to the downside right there. So for me right now, it will be really nice to see a pullback all the way up to those levels, which I don't expect too much, but definitely a couple of things can happen, guys. Okay, as with the DXY, we can pump into the downside to find support from this level. And if I start seeing the shift, then I'm gonna start taking longs towards that area, because then we're gonna have a new swing. Let's say it looks something like this. So then I'm gonna try to take longs into the 50%, okay? But if this doesn't happen, then of course we have to flow with the market. Let's say we immediately start to pull back, then definitely I'm gonna be looking for the sells, okay? If we drop to the hourly time frame, like pretty much from this big buy to big sell-off, we have nothing in the middle. So basically there is nothing to stop price, like just little 15-minute pullbacks, but that is not very major. So definitely on EU, I will be looking for a nice pullback around these areas right there to take a short, okay? But as I said, we can have two situations. One of them will be first a tap lower, then a potential pullback, and the second one will be an immediate pullback and then a potential short. All right, so make sure to stay tuned for the Monday analysis and to see what potentially could happen. But EU is consistently breaking structure, creating lower highs, so definitely my bias is shorts. Let's have a look at Euro Yen. So 2 consecutive weeks of bearish price action, but as you can see, actually we had a bullish engulfing candle, and then actually almost those 2 weekly candles are inside this bullish engulfing candle. So what does that mean in the lower time frame is that we have a nice push, right? And then 2 weeks of correction. So still for me, I just want to mark this weekly low because this looks like the initiation of the swing. And yeah, as you can see, like we had a push, a pullback, then pretty much not very clear price, but then we had a pullback, and then a push. All right, so then the market is currently looks like in a complex correction, but what we can also see is that it's starting to decline to the downside. So I would really love to have a downtrend on EJ, because this guy has been trending up for quite some time, right? If you just have a look, we have a very steep uptrend actually, to be honest. Then dropping onto the 4H, let's see, I'm not really trading EJ right now, but basically we had a week of a range. So we started from around right here, 7th of June, right? We had a push down, the pullback, range. We had a push up, then a breakdown. So you think that the market is going down, but then you had the manipulation, massive bullish candle, then a massive bearish candle that actually broke structure. So basically what you have to examine is how we can enter short right there, because this was actually the highest probability trade for the week. But yeah, look at that. So we had a push into the highs, then we have a break to the downside. So potentially lots of people will be tricked to take shorts from here, let's say. Is it wrong? No, it's not. But simply we had this strong manipulation, maybe news, but then we actually had the breakdown that broke structure to the downside. And basically there is your lower high right there. So if you start dropping to the 15 to the 5 minute, what you're gonna spot is again the same pattern. The consolidation, the manipulation above, the breakdown of structure, and your entry should be from somewhere right there. Basically, I always take the whole zone like this. So basically, if you manage to execute from here, stop loss above 6 pips, and then riding it all the way, maybe first targets for a lower low, and then maybe if you have like a Fibonacci swing targets for a nice 1 to 10. So I think this was the most high probability trade on EJ. Like we could have had some longs along the way, but not too much. So let's focus what could happen next week, right? So we are currently tapping into the extreme levels. As I marked, this level is even from the weekly. So that is pretty strong. Right now we're just tapping inside it and we are reacting, okay? We are also breaking structure to the downside, and we're creating structure from bearish structure from the upside. So basically right now we're stuck between this range, between this supply and this demand. Definitely I would expect a reaction from this demand, because it's too strong. Like this is the sell that really initiated higher prices, okay? So actually on a lot of scenarios we can actually expect a reversal from here and new higher highs, okay? But what will be important for me is to see how it's gonna develop, because for me right now the market is bearish. We can create this and then sell off, all right? If we start with bearishness, then I'm gonna monitor if we're gonna have a break below. But if we don't have a break below, and then if we start to shift the structure, then I'm gonna start taking longs into this area, all right? So as I always say, it's really important just to have your levels marked, and then just to monitor how the market is going to respond to those levels, okay? Because a lot of things can happen on Monday, like we can start bearish or we can start bullish as the pullback. So if you start bullish, look for the short. If you start bearish, then look for the shift to then eventually take longs towards the pullback, all right? So very simple analysis on EJ. Have those two levels. Let's wait for the reaction, but eventually I want to sell from here or I want to buy from down there. So let's see. Let's have a look at the Aussies, one of the trickiest pairs for since quite a lot of time. As you can see on the weekly time frame, we are still in this consolidation. I cannot extract any information from the weekly candles as well, but definitely I just want to see this one drop a little bit and then explode, because that makes a lot of sense. But what makes a lot of sense is not always the right thing to do, all right? So as you can see, we jump from one consolidation. This is a big consolidation. This is a fake, because after the break, we immediately broke back down and broke structure down. Okay, so basically this is classified as a fake. And then right now in the most recent price action, we're having this sort of range like this. And what we do, guys, again, is we fake above the range, we break down, we break below the range, and we break back up. Okay, so basically extremely choppy market. As you can see on the forward, you can see it very clearly that we're just faking and breaking back. So yeah, very, very tricky to trade. But if you just, let's focus, let's say that this was a break of structure. So a lot of us are looking for the short right there. And as you can see, reaction, but then it just breaks above. Okay, so you're stopped out. Then what you try to do is you try to take longs, okay? But then the market pulls back. But if you just simply drop your fib, okay, these prices are too high in order to be bought for a new high. So as you can see, it tries to push, fails. It tries to push, and it just manipulates above, and then it breaks down, all right? So right now, I have no bias on this one. You can say, cool, left shoulder head, right shoulder, definitely. definitely could happen. What you can also do is use like this level as a confluence, like, because if you have a look, if you just take usually what is done is you take left shoulder and usually you expect a retracement to there, and you combine it with a fib, which is pretty nice. But what I would do is I would just take the demand area from here, and I'm gonna be waiting for that to happen. But keep in mind that we had a nice fake right there, and we have a nice break, and also the market is breaking structure to the downside right there. So I am a little bit bearish. Okay, the move originates from here, so any pullback towards that level is shorts. So again, a few things can happen on the Aussie. We can initiate with a pullback towards that area to take a nice short into the lows, or we can start with shorts towards that level, and then from there it really depends if we're gonna have the shift in order to take longs. Okay, so that is my analysis on AU. Again, it depends, make sure to have those levels. For me, it is bearish right now, but if we tap inside this demand, then definitely monitor it, because we can have bullish reactions, and then you can potentially take some intraday trades towards the upside. And then having a look at AJ, just look at that right there. All right, so this is a this is non-tradable price action, and this is the hourly. Right, if you jump on the 4 hourly, it's even worse. Like, just look at the structure, the past month, let's say. All right, super choppy. And right here we have this chop. We have a push up, breakdown, another push up, and then a breakdown. So this market is really manipulating right now. Okay, so we think that this is the fake. Then we have the break back down inside the consolidation. So cool, like you can start looking for shorts if you think that this is the fake, but then you have another one to the upside, and then you have a breakdown. Okay, so right now what do we have is this whole range, which is basically a demand level on the 4 hourly time frame, if you just have a look at it, and we're just tapping inside. So what I would expect is to have some sort of a reaction from this level. Okay, but this reaction is just gonna give me the pullback eventually to take a short later. So what I would advise you to do is drop your fib from the high to the low, if this is the low, if we don't open bearish, and then just wait for the market to get above the 50%. And as we start getting above the 50%, then start to position yourself for potentially taking shorts. Anywhere above the 50% inside these areas will be shorts for me. So this is what I'm going to be looking for. And then to eventually see this market go a little bit to the downside, because it definitely needs to go. And definitely I would love to see this daily demand level get tapped. As you can see, perfectly resonates also with the 100% extension right there. So that will be really nice to see. So as you can see, I'm sell bias on the Aussies. All I need is to see how the price is going to develop and what kind of pullback are we going to have, and to see if we're going to have any striking opportunities trading from either higher prices or longs from lower prices. Let's have a quick look at the NZDs as well, which are starting to show a little bit more of a selling pressure. Okay, so as you can see, we actually failed to break the weekly high, but this is a ridiculous weekly high right there with this big wick right there. But yeah, as you can see, we broke to the downside, we pulled back, and this looks like a lower high for the market to carry on to the downside and even to eventually reach inside those levels right there. But first of all, we're gonna fight with this weekly demand. Okay, so this is not a strongly demand. Why? Well, yeah, it is basically a strong one, because from here we had a massive sell-off, we consolidated, and then we actually broke structure to the upside. So that means that a lot of orders were initiated from here, and actually if you really want to refine it, we can do like this, because this is where the real move started. All right, but then simply on the daily time frame, we started from here, indecision, we pushed to the downside, 2 days of perfect indecision actually, and then we dropped to the downside right now. So definitely I'm looking towards 70-50 for targets, for potentially a tap there. And yeah, as you can see, very nice reactions on NZD. I believe actually this week I called this level. We beautifully tapped inside and we very nicely reacted. We also broke structure. There is our lower high, there is our lower low, there is another lower high. Why is this a lower high? Because it failed to break above this level. Okay, so basically shorts from here are beautiful. And right now we have a new 4 hourly high, which also left a really nice supply level. Those two indecision candles before a big move to the downside that also broke structure. And this structure is also broken. So as you can see, everything points to the downside for me right now on the NZDs. Again, the question is, how are we going to develop? Are we going to start with a pullback to the upside, which would be really nice to see. So maybe we can create a weekly low, then we can start a pullback. And then maybe around, let's say Wednesday, Thursday to Friday, we can have a sell-off. Yeah, on Friday, it should have already been happening. So basically, I would think that around Wednesday, we should have the market pulling back towards those areas and then to have the sell-off. All right. So this is what I'm calling basically, if you have a look, if you're following carefully, the DXY is about to turn bullish because we look for shorts on EU, AU, NZD, everything is pointing to the downside, meaning that we might have a bullish dollar. So let's see. As for NJ, it's currently tapping inside this very strong demand as well that created a massive pump into the highs. First, we tapped into this one. As you can see, we absorbed the orders, but I want you to pay attention also to speed. Have a look at the speed that the market gets into this level and have a look at the speed that it goes away. Like it just starts to chop around, basically creating a complex correction or a flag formation in order to later pump to the downside. So definitely bearish on this one as well. We created another supply level right there. So basically we're going to jump right now from demand to supply. So basically we have a nice pump. We're gonna yeah, we're not gonna accumulate like this, but definitely a push, pullback, a break of structure, then a retest to potentially take us higher inside this level. And then guess what? We're gonna do this. All right, cool. Well, yeah, basically this is what I'm looking at NGA right now. A push to the downside, break of structure, and potentially looking for the pullback for a short opportunity right there, and then taking it into the lows to potentially, I see already a couple of nice targets. The first one will be right there. Maybe this one, but this one is already being tapped from this one. So basically, I think the liquidity is resting below this low. So definitely we're going to take this one. Then the next one is this. And after this one is taken, then we're going to potentially stop at 77,500. And also on NU, we're looking at 7,500. So as you can see, pretty much everything is aligning really nicely. So let's have a look how the NZDs are going to develop this week. USD JPY, where are you going, bro? I don't know, right? So we have a massive pump into the highs on the weekly time frame. Then we have a nice breakdown, which looks like a pullback. And since then, we have been chopping around, all right? So what this looks like to me is like a slowdown because this created a higher low on the lower time frames. We have a push into the highs, so the market reacted from something on the left. Then we have a breakdown that actually broke the structure. And right now the market is in a complex correction in order to pump to the downside. So this is what it looks like to me on the weekly time frame, which is going to get much cleaner as we start dropping down. Well, not really, because what we see right here is that we lose that picture. So basically for us right now, we see an uptrend, but we're missing the perspective of the weekly time frame, basically this break of the structure, right? And then right now this complex correction. But if you carefully have a look, like, yeah, we should mark maybe this high right there that the market still hasn't tapped. So maybe we're going to have another run into the downside before really breaking down. But the market is pretty bullish, okay? Push, pullback, higher high, higher low, beautiful longs right there. Another push, another pullback, another push. Then we actually broke down a little bit. So I think this could actually be the manipulation, right? The liquidity grab. Then the breakdown that also broke daily structure. And right now we had a little pullback and it looks like it wants to drop. So let's zoom in a little bit further to see what is actually happening. So yeah, where it is this week, opened 7th right there. So we opened a little push down. Basically what we did is we reacted from this level right there. Oops, not this one. Like that. We reacted, we pushed away, chop, 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 potential long right there, push up, pullback, push up. So basically consolidation for this week, okay? So looking at the DXY, we saw that it is overall bullish. So is this one gonna pump to the upside? Well, it's still bullish to me. Yes, although we have all of those confluences that the market is pointing to the downside, the JPY is pretty weak. Okay, so therefore I would expect longs on this one. And as you can see, overall we have been moving to the upside on UJ. So definitely, as I told you at the beginning, USD JPY, where are you going, brother? I don't know. All right, so let me know what your thoughts are on UJ, guys. Potentially, I would love to see it go lower because I start seeing, even from a weekly perspective, that the pressure to the downside is much more. Like, have a look, like since the top to the bottom, it took 23 days. And then here, we're already 49 days in a pullback. Okay, so if this market was gonna go bullish, it should have already broken the highs. This is my thought process. So right now I'm looking at this level, this extreme level right there. So potentially if we start pulling back towards it, I'm gonna be monitoring if we have the same formation, right? That same push into the highs, a break of structure, and then a retest to potentially start going lower. Okay, but we can also continue the consolidation. We can maybe break lower first. So again, always make sure to flow with the market. But as you can see, we build up a little bit, even a picture from a weekly time frame, that we're overall having the bears. All right, but first of all, I definitely need to see some sort of bearish sentiment, which I don't have right now. I like this break of structure. So for me, if this high holds, right there, definitely shorts. Okay, so let's see how the market comes towards that high right there. We can even drop the fib. The market is already pulling back towards the 50%, reacting, but it fails. So definitely we need a little bit of higher prices. So let's see how the market is going to pull back into the highs. And then I'm going to be looking for the structure change in order to initiate a short. So let's see how UJ is going to behave this week. All right, let's have a look at the GBPs, starting from GU, which provided some great opportunities this week, starting even from Monday, I believe. We had a great long, and then we had a beautiful short after the weekly high was created. So pretty much GU right now is bullish, okay? But we had 4 weeks of bullish price action. Right now, it looks like it starts to form the high. Therefore, I would really love to see this market like pull back towards, let's say, even towards the 50% will be enough. We just tapped the 38.2. If I have it a little bit lower, then definitely longs from those levels, like 0.40, maybe even a little bit below, maximum 0.39. I will be looking for the pullback before maybe initiating higher prices and creating that weekly high. So on the daily time frame, a lot of sense makes for this level to get tapped. Why? Because we had a high, pullback, higher low, then we consolidated, we had a little fake, then we consolidated again, and then we had a massive expansion towards the upside. And this leg starts from exactly right there, which is around 39,500. And as I told you, maximum 1.39 will be the pullback, but definitely around this area will be the golden area for a potential pullback, okay? And but as you can see, currently GU is really nasty. Like, we've been in this consolidation for quite some time. But of course, if you really zoom in and if you know what you're doing, there are plenty of opportunities if you use also the hourly and then dropping all the way down to the 1 minute. So basically what we had is a break to the downside, okay? Basically saying bearishness, but we also had a couple of longs. The first long was from down there, I believe. This is the 7th of June push up, then the second long right there. And then we had a beautiful short from here, I believe. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit lost right now with the days, but let's maybe jump onto the hourly time frame. I'm going to show you. So yeah, first short was right there, second short was actually right there, and then we had a long right there, and then even a long right there. So as you can see, 4 opportunities that could have been capitalized on this week. Let's quickly drop to the 5 minute. So the first one actually happened. There was that little range that the market actually faked a little bit, and then what do we have is the market shifting the structure beautifully. So where is your lower high? It's exactly right there. There is your break of a lower high, and there is your entry level exactly right here. There's your first entry, then the market breaks structure above again, and it creates this beautiful sell before a big buy. So basically you can take this whole range and also execute a trade around from here. So there is your one trade, there is your first trade, and basically you catch a very nice trade to the upside right there with a great risk to reward ratio, targeting all the way this level, which was a potential reaction point. So this is how the community took it as well. Then what we do again, next day, we consolidate, we fake again beautifully below, and where do we tap? If you remember, this level was not tapped perfectly into 50%. There it is. So there is the tap. This is why the reaction happened from here. What do we have? Exactly the same pattern, but you have to use a slightly lower time frame because there is your push, lower high formation, there is your break, and there is your retest. Beautiful long from right there. There is your entry, this candle that actually, that actually broke structure. It just tapped the high of the candle, which is not always nice. But of course, there is your other long setup, pushing into the highs and then continue to push all the way into the highs. Basically, we went all the way to the extreme levels of right there. And what do we have? Always that happens when you have a manipulation. Double tap, okay, to trick sellers into the market and actually a break of the neckline. So everybody thinks we are going down from here. But what the market does, London session open, boom, manipulation above. And then what you have to do is you have to zoom in on the 1 minute in order to really read what is happening right there, because there is your manipulation above, there is your change of structure. So basically there is your first entry from here. Then the market shifts structure again, breaks structure down. So there is your second entry from here. All right, then we have a push down, but this does not break structure. So you don't enter from here. This will be slightly aggressive. You have already 2 trades running. Stop loss is above. So if you get stopped out, you were simply wrong. But then what do we do is we push down, we accumulate. This is your buy and a big sell-off. All right, so basically what you do later is you take a trade from here. That is a really high probability trade. And basically 1 trade from here, 2 trades, 3 short trades that you could stack. And then the market just exploded to the downside and created the weekly low. So basically there we are from the top right there all the way down. So imagine that you entered from this level right here, and your stop loss is, and we actually had executions on those trades, and your stop loss is 3 pips, and you go all the way down for 1 to 28. So I'm pretty pissed of actually not looking at those trades. I wasn't at the charts. I wasn't looking really to trade. I was having some looks at the markets, but not really. I didn't even, at most of the times, I didn't even open my MT4. But yeah, basically then from the bottom, you can start looking for longs again, as you can see how the structure starts to change. And then also on Friday, same pattern. Double top, manipulation above, nice breakdown to the downside, that break structure. So again, there's your entry from here. Beautiful entry, and then we broke massively to the downside. Okay, massive. So GU actually provided a lot of great setups this week. As I told you, four setups, 2 longs and 2 shorts to look at on GU this week. So make sure to go and examine each of those levels. Why was the trade taken from there? As you can see, they're always at the edges, right? So this is exactly the higher lows that we want to trade. We don't want to trade here in the middle, or here in the middle. We always want to look at the edges of price, because this is usually where you're going to get your highest probability setups. Right now for next week, well, still, if you have a look at GU, it's absolutely tricky, right? We have a high, we have a low. Basically, we're stuck in a consolidation. This low is actually not broken. It's just faked by this week. Then we have this high that was also not broken. So basically, we're stuck in this range right now, right? I really don't know what to expect exactly at this period of time. Okay, so definitely if I'm listening to the other pairs as well, I would really love to have a little bit of a pullback towards those areas in order to take a short, and finally to really exit that range. Like, I really want to see 4,800 have a close below in order to confirm the shorts. And then, as I told you, I'm going to be looking for the 39s, 39,500, where I really want to look for like big swing to the upside. Okay, but right now intraday, I'm looking for shorts more or less. I really want to see the market go down. Nothing makes sense to me as of right now. So definitely let's wait for the market to pull back a little bit towards those levels, because right now we're actually going to react from this, because what do we have is a nice sell before a big buy. So the market is going to find demand right there to potentially give us the pullback. But if we hold and if we fail to break above this level, which is the newly created supply level, then definitely shorts could be in play inside some of those levels right there. Always make sure to drop your FIP and trade from the edges. So don't trade at the 38.2, wait for the bigger pullbacks, because that is where your highest probability trades are, right? If you also have a look at this swing from here to here, we took our trade down there, okay? Then if you have a look at the next swing, which is from here, from the low to the high, we also took it from the 78.6 down there, right? So you can see that the extreme pullbacks always work wonders. As for GJ, I've been calling this level for quite some time, right? And as you can see, we finally tapped it, and look at the reaction. And then we have a short here, then we have a short here as well, like this is a big zone, and then we have another short right there. So basically 2 beautiful shorts on the way down. The market tapped, so make sure to go and examine how you could have taken the long, and then potentially how we could have taken the short from this level as well, which was pretty messy, to be honest, with tap, react, but not really much. And this already happens on Thursday and Friday, right? So basically the best opportunity was this fake above and then this breakdown. So if you catch a short from here, beautiful. That's the trade of the week, according to me, okay? So right now for GJ, slightly tricky, but still this pair is bearish for me. This is my high. And as long as we remain below that high, I'm looking for shorts. What I don't like is that we already tapped inside this demand. So we already took the orders from here. We already initiated massive buy orders. And if you have a look, we have a minor structure right there that was actually broken. So the GBPs are like 50-50 right now. They're between sellers and buyers. It's a range, so definitely be careful. But right now, again, yeah, you can see this is right now a new demand being created. So if we eliminate this one, and right now the market is actually reacting also from the supply. Okay, so still you can see ranges are on the daily, on the 4-hourly, and all the way to the hourly. All right, so super ranging market. So definitely utilize your lower time frames. So what could happen on GJ? We can tap inside, we can have a reaction. It depends on what the reaction will be. If it's gonna be really a reaction and follow through, like break of the swings of the structure, retest and continuation, or is it just gonna be a reaction, lower high, and then a continuation down? So this is a key differentiator that you have to spot. But as for the beginning of the week, I don't know. The market is absolutely perfectly in the middle between this range, right? Absolutely in the middle. So definitely I'm looking at the edges again. I want to either sell the market if it pulls back up here, or I want to buy the market if it taps inside right there, and if I see the longs or the shorts from here. So that is GJ for me. Let's wait for Monday to play out and then to potentially see what could happen. GA, it's a pair that I don't trade at all. Yeah, basically just looking at this chart, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, right? We have a push down, the breakdown, then a push up, a pullback, a higher high. So basically for me, this looks more bullish than bearish. Why? Because if you have a look at this lower high, push to the downside, lower low, lower high, lower low, push back up, that actually broke this structure right there. We had a pullback, right? If we drop the fib from the low to the high, there is our pullback 705, and then we continue to push into the highs, and the first extension is already fulfilled. So as you can see, just breaking the hourly time frame, it looks bullish, and then if you drop to the hourly, you can see it even cleaner. Okay, so basically if I just follow this, the most recent price action, then for me this is bullish. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this as my higher low formation, because usually GA loves deep corrections. Drop your fib as well, like this, and just wait for the market to pull back. Where it can pull back to, well, somewhere around those areas, and it's already initiating the pullback. So for me on GA, a pullback right there, then a potential shift to structure will be the setup that I'm gonna be looking for, right? As you can see here, we have a sell-off, we have a break of structure, there is your retest, and then we potentially continue to pump up. So I'm looking for exactly this. And Euro GBP, what I'm gonna say is just goodbye, right? Yeah. We start here, chop, 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 chop. We push into the highs. Well, basically we push inside these highs, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong, okay? We react from it. We have a fake and then a break. So basically right now, this turns into a new supply level. We break to the downside, we break structure. So for me, any pullback towards that area will be shorts. Okay, super simple. Also examine how this happened. Again, we have a reaction, then you have another fake, then an accumulation, then a massive breakdown to the downside. Then what you see is another range right there that actually the market reacts from, breaks structure to the downside, and right now we are at the lows. So what I would expect on Euro GBP is for a pullback towards those areas. Always drop your fib and wait for the market to pull back towards the 50% or above. As you can see, we have a nice confluence of 61.8, 705, and 786 inside this supply area. So definitely this is something that I'm gonna be looking for in Euro GBP. A nice pullback and a nice short from there. So basically, on GU, I'm looking for the development on both GU and GJ because those are the main pairs that I follow. But yeah, pretty much they're ranging. GA is suggesting more higher prices. Euro GBP suggesting more lower prices, which means that GU should be more bullish than bearish. But let's see, as I told you, I would really love to see the market pull a little bit down. So let's see if we're actually going to have a break and a close below those levels right there on GU, and if we're going to have any other beautiful short opportunities. Let's throw a quick outlook on gold. I'm basically just monitoring from a more of a positional swing perspective. So basically we're right now reacting from this weekly wick and we're having the reaction, but the pressure is already starting to turn bullish, right? This is because gold is said to be a hedge against inflation. And as we have inflation rising right now, gold is also starting to rise. So that is really good. But what we can see right now is some short-term change of structure. So definitely I would love to see the market pull back towards the 80-50s. Or a little bit lower, and on the 4-hourly we can see the shift. Like we have a fake above, we have a push, a pullback, lower high, lower low, retest of the lower high, and basically this week we have been just tapping that area, right? So for me it would be really nice to actually see a break below this level, because if we have a break below this level that confirms the lower low, then potentially I'm going to be looking for the shorts, okay? But simply this is my outlook on gold. Really looking to see the market to pull back towards like 80-50 all the way down to like 80-10. Well, that is an extreme, but basically this whole demand level, all right? So let me know what you think. I'm more like shorter term, I'm more short bias. I really want to see the market pull back a little bit lower. So let's see if that is going to happen. Not a lot of movement across the indices this week. As you can see, if I drop to the weekly time frame on US 30, we're having an overall bearish week, but on the daily, it's pretty much chopping around. So it needs some sort of a correction. It needs some sort of a liquidity grab. And the only relevant region that I see is this one that has been left untapped, because you can see like from here, we had the same change of structure, a pullback inside, and then we have a consolidation and a nice initiation outside. Okay, so for me, seeing US 30 pullback towards that level will be the catalyst for potentially creating a higher high. So basically right now you can see that we're starting to round a little bit to start change the momentum to the downside. So let's see if we're going to have a little bit of a pullback to potentially even buy it lower. On the other hand, NASDAQ is actually turning bullish and I'm expecting new all-time highs. Yeah, personally, this will be the level that I'm going to be looking at, because usually there is always a liquidity gap on NASDAQ. This week it was this one. So we broke liquidity. It was actually this one again. We broke even further and that's where we initiated. So basically, I'm going to be looking for the market to tap inside and then to potentially reverse. As for S&P, I really need this one to pull back a little bit. It just keeps bumping up, right? Because usually I am buying ETFs. On S&P, it's one of my biggest holdings. I just love investing in this one, but it's been too high for quite some time. It's just like lagging to the upside. So I really need like at least a 5% correction, which will take me all the way into the lows right there, which I don't think is going to happen, because if we have a 5% correction, then it actually looks like a break of structure and we might even go further down. But the more it drops, the more I buy. So I really hope we're going to have some further downside. But yeah, overall, we reacted from this level on the 3rd of June. And then this week we just chopped around, pushed up, but nothing pretty much. So let's see. Indices overall bullish, potentially waiting for a little bit of a correction. And yeah, this is how I'm going to wrap up this video. Got a little bit too long and I really hope you managed to extract something. If you did, always hit the like button, leave a little comment below and let me know what kind of topics you want me to speak about. I really plan to start doing a little bit more videos as I get some stuff out of my shoulders, as I told you, finishing university and all that stuff. So definitely gonna come forward with more. So leave me your feedback down in the comments. I wish you a relaxing weekend and a crushing week next one. Take care and talk to you on my next video.